Great to have injured Waratah Jed Holloway joining us. Jed, welcome to you. A couple of mitigating factors in that loss with Will Skelton and also Nick Phipps' late withdrawals. What did you make of your teammates' performance over there?
I thought it was gutsy. They scored, I think, 6 tries. They racked up 30-something points. So in that regard, it was quite good. I think they'll be very disappointed in the defensive effort, which I know they are, and I think they'll show it this weekend coming up against the Sharks.
Was Will a big loss, Will Skelton, in that forward pack? Because the forwards were dished up.
Yeah, you could see we really missed Willie's punch in attack there, and coming off what he gave last week against the Force, he was outstanding in that game. And we also, I think we missed Fanger's energy around the field. Just you could see after 20 minutes we were blowing up in the altitude a bit, so we really missed him out on the field.
Jed, Bryce Hegarty came in and I thought performed pretty well under the conditions. It's always hard to step into Bernard Foley's shoes. Have you been impressed with how he's been going?
Yeah, I have actually. I always knew he could step up to it. I've been living with Bryce for sort of 6 months now, so I've got a bit of dirt on him and know some of his dark secrets. But
hey, if there was ever a forum to deliver it, this is it.
Mate, I never thought I'd be known as a clean housemate, but when I'm living with him, I definitely am. So he's come off a serious knee injury, and I know he's been eager to play, so it's great to see him playing well and doing so well in that number 10 jersey.
Tough though when you've got for want of a better term, a makeshift 9-10 combination against a team that made the final last year. Bernard Foley coming back with concussion. That's why Bryce got his gig on the weekend. What's the report on Bernie?
Unfortunately, Nard's been sent back. I haven't had a chance to catch up with him, but I know he's back home now and he's going to see the neurologist. And, fingers crossed it all ends up quite well for him, and we hope to see him back as soon as possible.
I was always backing Bernard Foley to get sent home from a South African tour, but not with concussion. So we do hope that he's okay, because he is so. We thought he'd be back in round 1, and now it looks like he's going to miss another 2 or 3 weeks. So I like the fact that the Tars are taking this seriously and putting play welfare a priority. But also you've got Izzy playing 13 and Array playing number 12. How do you think those guys are going together?
Yeah, I think they're growing in that position. I've been talking to Bryce a little bit, and he's saying they're lacking a bit of communication out wide outside that 10 position. So I think that'll come with a few more games, that combination. And as you see, Izzy sort of didn't have the best game versus the Force and come in late. The great thing is to see Andrew Kellaway sort of stepping up and playing so well in that number 15 role. So
I even see a try like that from Izzy. It's a sharp step at the end of the game. There's not much to play for, but little things like that can hopefully change you guys' outlook and spring him back into the form that everyone wants him to be.
Well, there's a bit of I don't know, not a move on, but there's just a bit being written at the moment about maybe, Izzy is better going back to fullback or going to the wing, that he's not quite the player he was since he went to 13. Shep, I mean, you're more qualified than anyone.
Look, I've been saying it for a long time. I think definitely at Wallaby level, Israel Folau has to play on the wing. Personally, he's a finisher. He's probably the best finisher Australia's ever seen in rugby union and rugby league. He needs to be in a position where he can just focus on that. Let Dane Haylett-Petty play 15. At club level, maybe not so much. I think 15, he can definitely keep that role and do very well. But yeah, I don't think 13's the place for Israel Folau.
I'd love to see guys like that. Sorry, Kearns. I'd like to see guys like Izzy and Michael Hooper given a bit of time off at the start of the year. I know they get their break like everyone, but if we want to compete at the top level at Super Rugby and Test footy, I know it's hard for a Super Rugby coach.
You try to tell Hoops not to play.
Yeah, I get that, but sometimes, in that World Cup final, you go back, Hoops and Poey are playing their 35th game, Richie McCaw and Kieran Reid are playing their 23rd or something like that. I just think they manage their top-tier players so much better than we do.
And when are you back?
If all goes well, I'll hopefully be back versus the Brumbies at round 4. So fingers crossed I get it all clear when they come back from South Africa and get to start hitting some blokes again. And It's been a long 9 months, and I can't wait to get back out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're in awesome form last year. You came on burst onto the scene, and so it's the rangy number 8 from the bush that we're seeing again. Well, Yamba's sort of the bush,
coast to
coast. And, we haven't seen that since Tim Gavin. So you must have loved the season last year.
Yeah, mate, I was absolutely stoked with the way I was going. Unfortunately, ended the way it did, but that's footy, as Shep would know and you boys would know. And it's disappointing and to have these little niggles with the hamstring as I'm coming back, but it just makes me more eager and want to get back to that form and playing well in the Waratahs jersey.
You hearing anything from your teammates who might still be in touch with Kurtley Beale about how he's feeling? Again, there's been a lot written and a lot said about the fact that he might pull the pin on the second year of his contract in the UK and head home.
Mate, I haven't, but it's good to see KB playing so well over there, coming off. He was a rehab member with me and Bryce and a few boys when he was coming back from his patella injury, and it's great to see him actually going really well. And hopefully he does come back, because he's an extraordinary talent, and I would love to see him back because he had so much, not only in the game but around the group as well.
He hasn't been gone for that long. That's the other thing about Kurtley. Like, he's been injured for most of last season, so we probably feel that he's been missing for over a year. But he's only played probably no more than a dozen games for Wasps over there. I don't, like everyone else, you want to see the best players in Australian rugby, but I think Kurt's someone that needs to be happy and settled. So, I hope he's not pressured to make a decision. I'd love to see him in a Waratah and Wallaby jumper, but someone like Kurt, I'd just like to see him playing good footy, because that's when he's happy.
Indeed, and he qualifies for tests anyway under the 60 test rule, the Giddo law, so we might see him back anyway. Jed, thanks very much for joining us, and good luck when you do get back. The Tars need you at the moment. Well done.